I want to understand one of the biggest problems that we have as entrepreneurs and business people in today's day and age is employee retention. So at this stage, when you're doing business, how do you retain employees? How do you prevent high turnover? Because you're the pioneer. I speak this as somebody who did this in business, and I saw people look at my staff, offer them 10 times more, they're Audi, offer them better perks. How do you retain employees?
I at this stage, I work with friends. At my older age, let me tell you, and I work with friends who know I love them. And I work with friends who I say, if something better comes up, take it. And they never leave. I don't know what other formula to give you. I work with friends. I genuinely love them. They know I care deeply about them because I found out it has nothing to do with a paycheck. I tried all those things. Man, I even built a whole Google environment for people. I put
Canteen.
Canteens. I did stuff. I fed people. I gave them free juice, whatever. I did a place for them to come and feed their kids. If the kids want to come and do a work day with their parents, I built the rooms. People still left. And people still got upset. People still... So I changed formula. I said, what should I do? I sold vision to people who really care for me and who I care for, and they said, let's do this. And I've seen those people in the beginning when I couldn't give them a salary. They did 6 months with no pay. And now they're fine, but they knew I'm in this to stay. Because first of all, I also left the door open. I said, if something else comes up, run, because I want the best for you. When people know you want the best for them, people know you genuinely love and care for them and their families, you're an asset. Why do I want to go work anywhere else? I could go to that big company, they'll give me the check, but then I have to work 19 hours. They expect me to jump every time they say jump. No. Sometimes, especially more mature people, they're looking for family. So I built a family. That's what we are.
So, but my question now then expands to when one of your family members can't do a certain task or don't have the certain skill, and you've got to employ somebody outside your scope.
Yeah. We adopt another family member.
Oh, they come into a culture.
I'll tell you, they come into a culture. Actually, you build a culture, you build a community, right? Which is exactly what I've also done with church. I don't just want to have a member, I want to have a family. It's a community. What do you benefit from being in this community? There has to be a benefit. And so that, I'll tell you, Richard, it's an amazing culture to have. I wish I had discovered this earlier. It's an amazing culture to have when you genuinely do care for people. That means you're very selective who comes into that culture. Very. Because you don't want anyone coming to spoil the family. So I've become that, but at the same time, I've become tougher in understanding that, hey, you can hop jobs anytime, but it's become a free world. But it's tough out there. It is tough out there. This environment I've created for you, it's not going to be easily replicable. So I've created a very tough environment for you to live. And I'm not talking about nice offices. I actually realized it's not the hardware. It's the software. It's the software.
And neither does that mean you babying your people.
All, I have no babies. I hired adults. And let me explain. Sometimes even a 28-year-old can be an adult in terms of workplace. I hired adults in the sense that I needed to know you don't need to be given work hours. You don't need to be told what time to be in the office. You're so driven by what it is you do. So I was very selective about the culture. Very selective this time. And I've started doing it in all my organizations. So that culture-wise, yes, we're motivated by what we earn, but there are certain other fundamentals that matter more. And so we've created a very neat type of organization driven by just the fundamentals of humanity. And once you do that, you will actually find retention becomes easier. But supposing you become big like a Microsoft and all, you can still retain a culture. Chick-fil-A have a culture in America till today.
Google have a culture.
Google have a culture, right? Well, they've had to change theirs because people just became a little crazy. But even an organization as big as a Google, IBM have a culture. So I think once a company starts to take on that culture, retention becomes, and some of those people stay. Warren Buffett has a culture about his companies. People start to stay because the value system of Richard works for me. Not the paycheck of Richard, the value system. You know what? I want to work for a man like this. And especially for the young generation and the next generation, those things are becoming more important than a paycheck. The paycheck matters, don't get me wrong, to them, but they're like, no, I don't want to work here.
And you don't feel it, that word feel.
It. It's not working. And you can't ignore them. They're the biggest spenders. They're the ones with the highest. You have these stats much better than
they're the biggest workforce.
They're the biggest workforce. You cannot ignore them. But why are they saying no to very large corporates and yes to very small companies? They have a language that you need to crack, and that language is bigger than how much money am I paying you. That's no longer a sexy thing as far as work is concerned. Yeah, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Did you come for my dad's funeral? Did you show up for my baby's first birthday? What are your thoughts about my future? How do you feel about certain fundamentals? Are you present, or are you just very high retention will be found with people who speak that language. Very high turnover will be found with tyrants.
I've realized care has become such a huge fundamental business principle.
It is.
Or the DNA of the business, care has to be there.
You see, the Bible told us that a long time ago. We just thought we were too smart.
I love when you go here.
Yes.
For Noah, break it down for us.
It did. He said the greatest of these is love. If you want to retain people, love them. It's the greatest. All these other things don't. This is the greatest of all these, and it's evident throughout history that where you've had kings. What brought about the French Revolution is when the queen was told that people have no bread to eat. And she said, why don't they eat cake? Ooh. Why aren't they eating cake? That's where the word queen cake came from.
For real?
Yeah. I didn't know that. The French Revolution, they were upset. Wait a minute. What kind of disconnected queen do we have? Did she just tell us if you can't get bread? And they revolted. And they finished that dynasty completely.
Whoa.
The point is, when you care, whether you're a king or a janitor, case in point, let me give you a very quick case. I have a friend who came to see me a few weeks ago, told me an amazing story about a university we've partnered with as a church. And in this university, one amazing leader called Dr. Sam Chand was the former president. It's a 100-year plus university. And one time he's coming to the university, he goes and he's like, finds the janitor, and the janitor is there doing his job. And Dr. Sam Chand says, hey, how's your day going? Can I get you some water? The janitor's like, you're the school president. Why in the world do you care? You know? And Dr. Sam Chand goes and gets him water and brings it. And they engage in a conversation. And all of a sudden, Dr. Sam Chand walks away saying to himself, I just found my successor. And right now, the guy who's the president of that university is called Dr. Benson Karanja. and he took over from Dr. Sam Chan.
He was the janitor.
He was the janitor.
What?
When people know you care and genuinely care, they'll stick with you. They'll stick with you. You want to retain people? Just care. Check or no check, care. It's a fundamental of life.
Oh, man. First of all, I want to tell you a big thank you for coming to Class in Session, for being our first guest on Class in Session. I mean, you have schooled us thoroughly. I'm glad because you're going to be back.
Yeah, I'll be back.
with time.
Yeah.
And the next time he comes back, I want you guys to be the ones that are asking the questions. So he's shared so much. If you've got any questions throughout all these different videos, please write them. Derek and myself and Nick, who's here, will curate them and we'll be sure to feed them to him. A big thank you to you, Julian Kyula.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the insight that you've shared. I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
I hope it was helpful.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Richard. Thank you.